have Briefcase in studio. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. What I might do is we've got all three of them here. We've got Brian, Jeff, and Malik. Can I have you guys just introduce yourselves a little bit and let people know?
Sure. We'll start.
Recognize your voice?
Yeah, Brian here. Hello. I do some of the singing and guitaring in the Briefcase. Yeah, that's me.
And I'm Malik. I do a little bit of the singing, drumming, and a little bit of the guitar and keys as well in Briefcase.
Hi, I'm Jeff. I have the solar-powered garage where we rehearse.
The famous.
Yes, play bass from time to time too.
Right.
Well, actually, because the last time we talked to you was through Zoom.
That's
through
right.
the happy days of COVID-y
Oh,
Zoom.
that's right.
Yeah.
And you just released the Escape Pod, the video. That
Yeah, that's right. That
Oh,
was
that's
our second. Yeah, our second EP. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are our COVID record.
Yeah.
Right? Sort of.
I think. Yeah, sure.
I mean, because everybody has one.
Well,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
It
At
was
the
like
time.
that period. Like,
Yeah.
we were like,
Yeah.
we were separate. So for like the making of most of that.
Mm-hmm.
a
All
lot-
of it. Yeah, we record all the tracks.
Yep.
Are there some of those techniques you took into this? Because you just released an album,
Mm-hmm.
January 23rd, 2024.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Tell us about it and how was making it in a new world.
Sure. Actually, strangely enough, like some of those techniques were carried over. So we all have recording situations set up at home, studios. I've got my drums and whatnot mic'd in my basement, and then these guys both have DAWs as well. So oftentimes what we'll do is we'll work on a song together, or we present it, we'll practice it, and then we'll tend to have like a couple of demos, like an initial demo, listen to that, practice it, and then maybe a second demo, and then we'll actually, like if it's a song that Brian has written, he'll have like guitar tracks and whatnot set to a click, and I'll get them, or Jeff will get them, and then we record our parts separately, kind of send them back to Brian for him to check out, inspect. And then we have a fourth member of the band who's not here, but who's been doing all of our mixing and mastering for our past two EPs.
2 EPs,
He
yeah.
did not do the Escape Pod.
You will notice a distinct
Difference, right?
difference in quality and sound from the Escape Pod EP to anything after that.
Yeah.
We did the Naked Laundry, the first one, the yellow one, in Tangerine Studios. So that was really our only studio album, and it sounds great. I think we know that, but then COVID came and we're like, all right, well, we think we can do this, and then I think after that we're like, okay, we can do kind of some of that, but we're not. We need some mastering and mixing help to a large degree, and luckily, Jeff's cousin is a master of that. He was in previous bands and helped us out, and he's been awesome. Like, he's just all about it. So
Yeah, he's a solid dude. Adam. Yep, his passion is helping people sound the way that they want to. So he
love that.
works across genres. He was in a metal band for a while and just recording some jazz stuff too, like in the family. So it's kind of fun.
He's got that on his bumper.
He does.
It's
Yeah,
like,
it is a bumper
can
sticker.
you sound the way you want.
That's
to
right.
sound?
Helping Malik sound like Aiden from Portland, the indie drummer in Garage Band.
Thank you.
That's kind of our go-to persona when Brian and I put some stuff together.
Yeah. So I immediately mute that.
So it's
Scrap
Malik versus Aiden from Portland. Malik always wins. It's fine.
Well, I think that the experience of having done it yourself helps hugely for you to communicate what you need, I would think.
Yeah, I think so. But we're still learning too. I mean, he'll still be like, Adam, it's like, how did you record this? Could you do this a little differently? I'm having a lot of trouble sort of like getting compression on, say, like the snare or something. Or, I mean, there was a situation, I think, where he had you record a track like 3 times because he said it was out of tune.
Yeah,
So
dude, your guitar's
two,
out of
4
tune.
times.
And so I went and bought new strings. So I re-recorded it again. He's like, dude, it's still out of tune. Re-recorded it again. It's still out of tune, man. What are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna go buy new strings, restring my guitar. Got it reset up at Twin Town. I re-recorded it again. He's like, I think it's still just slightly.
Oh, no.
He's been good for us in
And I go, it's good. It's good. Thank
We're
you.
good here.
That's
Right,
right.
right.
But it's good. I think it's good. And I don't know what it was, but I don't know. So anyway, learning process all
But
around.
that's a blessing and a curse. You do want people who kindly
That
Oh my gosh.
call you out, but also
we needed it.
you know, nobody wants, I made a flyer, you misspelled your name. You know, like,
Right.
all right. I'm going with
Beefcase,
something new
who's
now.
Beefcase?
Exactly.
Right.
Oh. We're just trying that one out for size.
You're right.
Right.
Yes.
Get our Hormel sponsorship.
Yeah.
Now that's thinking.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's
man.
thinking.
Gotta get that extra income in these days. You know, now that our radio play is not really supporting us, so we're just trying to find different avenues.
Some
Corporate sponsorships.
Corporate sponsor, Archer Daniels, Midland, Hormel,
Mowing
all those
lawns.
guys.
Yeah.
Mowing lawns, shoveling snow. You guys,
That's a good.
yeah.
Well, this is a bad year for that.
Yeah.
Briefcase is
Yeah, didn't really come
available
through.
for
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of your Sundry Adams.
We
$5
like to
an hour.
diversify.
But what you are able to do that we weren't able to do in 20 is play live.
Yes. And we actually just got off 2 live shows. We did a Big Turn Festival
Yeah.
last week,
Yeah.
which was super fun. And then we had our EP release. It was at Club Underground the week before.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, if I could say, I think that our live show is a place where we particularly thrive. We've been playing now for a few years, and I think really in the last year, our live shows really kind of stepped up a notch. It's, I think it's just got a lot of juice, a lot of energy, and I think people tend to feel pretty entertained in good ways and bad ways. I mean, we're somewhat ridiculous on stage too. These guys falling all over each other, or Jeff going to the bar for whatever reason while playing bass.
Get thirsty sometimes.
That's
on break,
thirsty
you
work,
know?
man.
I like it. So, I know. I mean, he's multitasking. But yeah, I particularly love the live shows. It's an opportunity to hear how a song breathes in front of people, and I think that's where you get sort of a realistic vision of it. It's an opportunity for people to see how you interpret the songs. They sound one way recorded. I think they feel a lot different live, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's
It's fun to
doesn't
take some
sound anything
chances
like
too.
the records, I don't think. It's
Well, I was
just
gonna say, yeah,
noise
you
here.
guys are a little bit of hams, and you put each other together, and it's kind of your bouncing. But it reminds me of like the Gear Daddies when
Sure.
I love the music, but the banter too with it just creates an overall heightened experience. So
Nice.
I am one
Thank
for
you.
the live crazy antics and
Gear Daddies, if you're listening,
Yeah.
we are open for any opening
Yeah.
acts. We totally will be the yin to your yin. We will support you.
Exactly.
It'll be great.
Well, all this talk about
I
live
know.
performance, I wonder if we could implore upon you all to play a song.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh sure. we just happen to have some guitars here.
How
nice.
superfluous.
Just walk around with them.
We're just walking down the street, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, if we could find us
Look at
place
that.
just
It's
to
a
play
guitar. Yeah.
our guitars.
Sorry, I'm gonna rudely move the mic so that everyone can hear you better.
Yeah. I almost want to have this shift. Kind of, I think you're the main voice here.
What are we doing first?
You're the nicest voice. That's just silly talk.
This is you want to pronounce it?
Arist.
Arist. This is the lead tune from the new EP.
Stars keeping score.
It took us a couple months to figure out how to. Me and Jeff figure out how to pronounce it.
Well, I'm thankful that you made a request that somebody else do it, because I might have had some questions myself. Yeah, but I love when I learn.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Did you know last
such friends. See me slave in silence. Don't you know?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
All the different elements in that.
That was lovely. That was
you.
lovely.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that song.
It is sure. It is a song that's pretty much about being willing to ask for help when you've kind of messed up a few times and sort of being open to it still. Or it could be about being a werewolf. But it's one of those things where it's like, it could be the same thing. So,
So
I don't know if you-
interchangeable.
Yeah.
But, so we all sort of feel like we have moments when we're monsters. So you like wake up at 2 a.m, you're like, oh, why did I say that? Why did I do that? I feel awful about that. And when you can either sort of hold that in and continue to sort of eat yourself up about it, or you can reach out to the people you love, like support you, and sort of admit those feelings and try to move on. And I think there is an element of needing to be able to forgive oneself even after sort of making those mistakes again and again and again. And not to sort of put weight on or leverage the compassion of those who take care of us, but just sort of recognizing that it can be a ongoing journey towards rebuilding oneself. So in a way, the part about being a werewolf is like oftentimes, like the moon comes up and you're like, and then you're like, wake up the next day, you're like, what happened?
What?
You're like, oh no. And they're like, well, dude, it's like, you want to check the chicken coop because, it's looking a little rough out there. Something happened. So I just, I think that's sort of a metaphor for like just being able to, the sort of monsters, the beast within that we can, try to improve upon.
It was a full moon last night.
Yeah.
Did you feel that? Did you feel that?
Yes. Once you called and reminded me, you're like, dude, it's a full moon. I'm like, dude, right, I'm on it. Get on it. And yeah, so that's sort of the gist of it.
I like that because in those moments at 2 a.m. we're like, that wasn't funny at all. Why did I ever say, whatever it is, how did I dare spill my drink on the dance floor? That's sort of,
Yeah.
It's good to know that I'm not the only one.
Oh my god. I call it 2 a.m. greatest hits, where you sort of wake up and you go through the greatest hits of whatever you messed up the year before, or even 10 years before.
Oh yeah.
It's like there's something where your mind just opens up and you can just like catalog volumes A through Z of
every time you call someone the wrong name, and some of them are just honest mistakes, and some of them are maybe been fueled by some poor decisions that you've made earlier in the night.
Or
in life.
Or fueled by some drinks you might have had.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, few decisions.
Yes. Okay.
We never. Yeah.
But I love the sentiment behind it.
Yeah.
It's just this idea of like wanting to do better. Like to me, that's the heart of it. And then I mean, Malik is a great lyricist, and I just love that line because of the simplicity and the profoundness of "Are the stars keeping score?" Like it's one of those things where it's like you kind of wonder, like who's keeping track of this stuff and is it worth it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Jeff.
Well, and then when you talk to people, you kind of make your amends or something. You find out they don't remember.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. Sometimes they do.
Yeah.
Depends on whether they're Irish or not. We remember. We remember. Being honest, I can tell you everything you've all said. No, but
My wife is Scottish, and so I know they can also hold
yeah.
a grudge as well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah. She does that though. I'm not talking about you, baby.
No,
You're the best.
Cut that part out.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Okay.
Right now,
This
it
is
is
a
our
live one.
superpower. It is our superpower. Yeah, but really, when you do talk to people, you realize, oh yeah, and then, or even the best of worlds, they didn't hear it. They did.
You're releasing it then if you are acknowledging it though too, even if they didn't hear it.
Right.
There you go.
Well, it kind of leads. That does lead you to the place of growth and letting go of it, because otherwise, that's some crazy making.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it gets you after a while. So.
So was that the theme for this latest?
Oh, it is one of them. I think, how we've been talking about it is, the record has a couple themes in it, but the narrative is, just kind of songs about how, kind of our shortcomings, our failures as like parents, lovers, stuff that we do, different commentary on that, and sort of like, there must be something keeping score of all that. Like, is it the stars? Is it something else? Is it? And I think that's thematically kind of how we collected those songs together.
It's kind of a dad band getting out of its own head.
Well,
I like
Yeah,
that.
kind of.
Yeah.
Well, it's such because it's the second time you brought about. Is there someone keeping score? And who do you picture as? Is that an internal force, an external force? Who is keeping score?
It's probably subjective. I mean,
Yeah, that's
for me, it's definitely internal. As I said, like Get the Greatest Hits, you sort of catalog all of these sort of paper clips of or paper cuts of mistakes or transgressions one of made. But I cannot speak for the two gentlemen.
Yeah, like our wives for sure.
I'm just gonna say it's been a hot minute, but I was married enough to long. No, we each had a notebook of.
That's a safe one. But then you got your kids, you got people you meet, you got you're not your best on some days. Mm-hmm. So it's just it's kind of a open question commentary on like how do you present yourself kind of to the world, and like who's keeping track of that.
And at the risk of maybe sounding a little cliche, like growing up in a very religious household, it's very binary. There's right, there's wrong, there's black, there's white, there's So when you think about like what you did that day, when you reflect in your nighttime prayers or your morning offerings, it's like
a scorecard.
It
really.
is. It literally.
Oh.
So I think a lot of times, like, and again, one reason I really like that lyric that Malik wrote is it's like, if the stars are keeping score, maybe I should be too. Mm-hmm. And maybe if I'm not, maybe they'll forget. Maybe this is something where we can all just kind of move on and live in a relationship of love and kindness with each other and know that we're all just trying to do our best. Mm-hmm. I'll wake up at 2 a.m. thinking about that one and wondering why I said it.
Oh, God. So close. But I love that I read, too, that even though you guys are silly with each other, whatever, but how writing the music together, how it's enriched your relationship, too.
I think that is definitely
Getting to know each other. Yeah, that's beautiful.
We, despite our attempts to get sponsorship from various sort of pharmaceutical companies or whatnot, it's like you don't make money playing in a band.
Yeah.
We all have lives and careers and whatnot, and like speak for myself, I hope these guys agree. Like for me, playing in a band is an opportunity to hang out with people you like. Mm-hmm. I didn't go to Craigslist and answer a request for a drummer. I was like, I want to hang out with these folks that I know, spend more time with them. I've been friends with Brian's wife for 20 years. I've been friends with Brian for like 15 years, so I've known these cats for a minute. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what it's about for me. It's like, it's fun to hang out with them. It's fun to make art with them. And when there's so little time in our lives, kids, work, trying to be a decent person, you have to make sure that when you are taking that time out for yourself or whatnot, that it is good use of time.
Yeah.
So I can't think of a better use of time besides getting your chops, playing music, making art, and hanging out with like your really good friends. That's kind of a good package to me.
Mm-hmm.
Got nothing to add there.
I will say,
Yeah.
one of the highlights of rehearsal is trying to keep up with his kick and snare. And we'll have these moments where afterwards Malik will kindly say, I really don't think those were the right chords. You know? Or then we'll have another moment where he's like, we have to make sure we do the triplets in the middle of that verse again. Like, because some of these things just kind of happen, and it's not anything that, you know, I think any one of us would have thought of doing on our own. But when you're in partnership with other people like this, you can just feel safe to do that. So it's a good time.
I remember the last time that we spoke, you talked really about how collaborating on songs, and you sort of make changes, kind of what I would think, you know, in like the 5th or 6th inning, you know, to have a different sound.
Yeah.
And that's got to be I think that's such an interesting process, because I think that you have to have a strong bond to be like, okay. So I'm trying to remember now. You were hiding a guitar on someone to get them to focus on the vocals, or
Escape
whatever.
pod.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well. Yeah. What you?
So Brian came with this sick, like, riff, and it sounded great, but I don't know, for whatever reason, we were like, what if we did it at cut time? And what if you didn't play your guitar?
Yeah.
And what if you pretended you had a Manhattan, a cigar, and a tux on? Like, what would it sound like?
I love it.
And so we just, like, put Brian into some method acting, and and we just kind of came up with a different version of a tune that's based off of, you know, what he brought.
Yeah.
That's
so,
my
yeah.
version, at least.
Well,
That's what I
no, that's
remember.
true. Like, and they're like, hey, guess what? We took out like all your guitar. I'm like, have a listen. I'm like, huh. All right. Yeah, sure. It kind of and it made it have more sort of like a Doors kind of tune to it, like, because it accentuated sort of the Morrison-esque vocal kind of cadence, and I don't know. It was just it made the song more unique than it was.
Yeah.
And people sometimes forget that amazingly enough, that the voice is an instrument, and so if you can do things to sort of compress that in there and bring it toward the forefront, it really can help to sort of sell a song beyond just like the lyrical content. You know, the quality of the voice and the quality, I think, of that vocal track is really good. I think Brian does a really amazing job in the vocals, and so it's like, you know, man, it just might be that like your guitar is gonna have to like take a back seat here, because, you know, the star here is of that tune, I think, is really the vocal delivery.
Mm.
It's the old Chanel line. Get dressed up to go out and take something off.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm sure those are credos that you all live
Is this
on.
like-
So
Coco
Coco
Chanel?
Chanel.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you said snail line at first, and I was
So-
like, the
oh,
snails?
Or
Really?
Shell's
Like,
beer.
Yeah.
You know.
I wasn't totally sure.
But yeah, no, I'm down with Coco.
Track it though.
Yeah.
But
Very
no,
wise.
yeah, well, and there is something, but it's hard to do. I mean,
Super hard to do.
especially I write for work. It's you have that perfect line, and you could screw up a whole chapter, a whole report, because you wanted to fit that one good line in.
Right.
But my question is, did you find another place for that guitar? I mean, there are elements that were taken out of the song that you found a new home for.
Yeah, we actually, part of the guitar was moved just to the second verse, and so it was kind of just it was a simple guitar line that was a little heavier at first, and then it just became sort of an accent, made the second verse more interesting, kind of accented the vocals, and that's where it went. So.
Or back in the hard drive.
Yeah, or in
Guitar part number 48.
But you must have sort of libraries of things that you remember that you've each done, and maybe will become a song someday, and maybe won't, or maybe the
Terabytes.
jingle that makes you $1 million, something.
Terabytes and terabytes of it.
Yeah.
We'll we'll just randomly send each other a demo. I'll be like, hey, here's one. Listen to it. Sometimes it'll get a response. Sometimes it'll go into like a black hole.
Cave.
Yeah, like, all right, point
but-
taken.
But, listen to them all, and it's just like, they all have a place at some point,
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah. That's what that's my hope, too. But yeah, there's so many. And Jeff, do you want to talk about your vault that you've been working on? Let's segue to Jeff's vault.
Yes.
My favorite app is the notes or the voice memos app on iPhone. And I looked at it recently, and I have like 200 and some odd like voice recordings. And I went back to listen to it. And I'm like, I've had some great
Really
ideas
good
here.
ideas,
Like what's going on? And it was like, you hear like traffic going by, and it's like I just needed to make sure I captured that moment. And that was the end of it. So it's like, maybe my mumblings will find their way, on a B-side or a bridge or, something like that. But
Somebody's dissertation someday.
Yeah, right. The mysteries of the universe.
Sometimes it's worth learning how to use the delete button too. I've found.
Yes.
Where like this is,
It's a hard, like back to Coco. It's a hard decision sometimes with what to remove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Painful. I mean, and it doesn't mean it's not the right answer, but that was my favorite mistake.
Yeah.
Come on.
It comes into play with us a lot too, because we are a 3-piece band.
Yeah.
We are. We're bass, drums, guitar. So there's kind of only so much sonic impact and force you can put from that, and so you really have to learn a certain economy of what you do and what you don't do. I feel that like on recording, you've got.
Yeah, there you go.
But you have a little more leeway in terms of like doubling guitars or whatnot. But I think it's always important to have this idea in your head. It's like, well, how might this like work live too? What do we sort of have to double down on a certain amount of sonic impact from like the drums or like the bass or whatnot? Yeah. But I think we're always trying to think of that. It's like, how do we take it away so we can still get the root of the song, but it's may not be the exact same, which is fun. I think. Yeah. I think it's great to kind of go out there and be like, all right. We all gotta like shovel coal in the fire and let's go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes entire chord structures change.
Yeah. Show to show.
We'll be working on a song, and you can't rely on the recorded version to know what 4 chords come in the outro.
Well, that gives me a segue again to say, would you play another song?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would love to. We're gonna play a new song actually. So this is one that's not recorded. You gotta move, unfortunately, sir. Because I need access to this.
And before you play, I'm going to say we are so delighted to have Briefcase in studio on Mostly Minnesota Music on WMCN 91.7 FM in St. Paul. With that business done, a new song. I'm going to move the mic over.
This is a soap opera scene.
Isn't that great?
Is this the right distance?
Yeah.
Yeah, we played. Are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we played this one at Big Trim Fest for the first time. It's called "Boring Morning."
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Good.
Yeah, I was like trying to remember what the song was. It's that new. I was like, all right, let's major roll. Thank you. I was practicing it a little this morning, so we'll see what happens. Yep.
Boring morning, you got to fall in. Half a lie. We got tomorrow. Reduce the sorrow. Half a lie.
Yeah.
Kill off the seasons for no reason. Got the time. Everything's free.
Thank you.
Try to whip that mic around without knocking anybody out. That is, yeah. Tell us about that song. That is lovely.
Oh man, yeah, that one is about. I think there's so much noise coming at us, and there's so much like fear. There's so much warnings, that at some point they become boring. They don't have the same effect that they did. And so it's loosely about that, and loosely about kind of just all the noise that comes at you, and what it becomes, after a period of time. So.
I like that you guys have a deeper meaning than your fun, exciting, but you actually have a thinker.
We like to
Silver thread.
Let's sort of wrap it up.
Yeah.
And sort of like, it's like those Wonka bars where you couldn't get the chocolate in the side.
No.
There's like the golden ticket,
Yeah.
Or,
I'm writing a song about skateboards, guys, just so you know.
and it's like
Wheels on pavement.
and that's what it is.
No, but you have this youthful sound too, but you also have an adult mind behind it also, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
I mean, basically, we're immature with music and mature with lyrics, right, Malik? He's agreeing with that. Clearly, he's aligned with that line of thinking.
The best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, I don't know. We're all songwriters, so we all like come at it from different places. Like I'm very much like music first. Lyrics come after 6, 7, 8 versions of like the song. Jeff, I don't know. You guys can speak for yourselves, but
Well, I grew up playing violin, first grade through college. Picked up bass when Brian came over, and we had a jam session for an hour and a half, maybe talked for 5 minutes during it. But for me, this isn't necessarily atypical of bass players, but I like to know the chords, I like to know the key, I like to know where we can kind of pop in some extra elements and fills, and then at the same time I'm learning how to play as little as possible. Because playing violin, a lot of times you have melody, you're kind of the front end of the chord and the orchestra, but to just step back and be like, all right, can I do this in 2 notes? Do I need 3? If I do, what's that third note going to be, and how relevant will it be? So like when you asked before about like our recording process, Brian sent over that lick with Aiden, the Portland drummer from in GarageBand.
from GarageBand fame.
Yeah, and I was able to listen to it and then send back like 4 or 5 different bass lines that could give it a different feel, and then I don't even know if we're using any of them. Like it just kind of evolved into something differently, altogether.
I think we're using one.
Are we?
Yeah.
Is it the main one?
Gosh, I don't
The
remember now.
interlude solo one.
Oh, all right, yeah.
Yeah, that's always cool when you get like the options. You're like, turn off, turn on, turn. You're like, I like this part here, but this part here I like better, and then you sort of cut and splice.
Yep.
Which is, I like it that way.
But Malik will come with like a whole tune wrapped up and be like, this is what I really think like these parts could sound like together. And so we learn it from there, and then like the multi-instrumentalism that comes from this guy is another thing altogether.
But I think like when when any of us are writing for the band, we sort of have to make sure like it's within the voice of the band too. I will readily admit that I try to nudge a little bit, push in certain directions slowly but surely. But there's just a certain sort of framework that I think the songwriting has to fit, both for the size of the band and for the type of band we are too. So,
What kind of framework?
Well, I mean, we
Begs the question.
sure. No, I call us a dad rock band, but I mean, we're for better or for worse, we're probably like an indie rock band is probably a term that would be used to describe us as well.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's a certain kind of way to think about that and to approach that form of music that might be different from. I was in a blues band before this. So different than that. Before that, I was like in a hip hop band, and I was in a metal band before that. And I think there's just different ways of playing and different ways of thinking about it, and even different ways of like approaching the lyrics too.
Yeah.
We like to talk about this because I'm like, well, aren't we kind of garage rocky? Because we practice in a garage and live in a garage, and we're kind of loud live. Like, we're kind of loud and raucous and kind of a little less disciplined live. And I don't know, just feels, and like, yeah, so this is a fun debate.
Yeah, we.
But anyway, that's kind of my take. Like, we're kind of a little bit of both.
What I really like about all of that is we talked to a lot of folks who are like, oh, we defy description, and I understand that completely. I was a librarian, a master's degree in library science. I'm like, come on now.
You're something.
Well, and what I really want to know is, am I wearing my Doc Martens? Am I wearing my fry boots? Am I got some heels? What am I talking about? You just give me a ballpark of. But the other thing, so I think it's super helpful to take a look at what different things that you've done. And then, then you do have it. And an expectation might be a strong word, but I'm like, oh, this is what I know. This is what I'm familiar with. This is what, this nails it for me. There's that familiarity that I'm going to expect to hear if I know I'm going to see a sort of a band. And when I was listening to the new album, and it was in a way, guys, but I'm like, oh, yep. This is I'm like, yes, this is just what I want it to sound like,
Oh, nice.
But also a little different. What's funny as I was looking through this, I was reading the Girl at the Rock Show, and Langan and I see a lot of music together.
Oh, cool.
A lot of music together. But we're both like, be good. We see a lot of good bands, but do something just a little bit different too. Yeah. So in some ways, and I don't want to say sticking to that formula, but sticking to knowing what the genre is helps to step out of it too, because then you're like, oh, that song's different than the others, but it's so I appreciate someone I was in the blues, I was in because otherwise I get a lot of, well, like, I don't make up a name, I don't.
And
folk punk, that's cool.
It kind of used to be like, it's like rock too. And if you like music, we all like music, and kind of the more music you listen to, you can start to see the roots of like how different sort of like chordal frameworks, vocal approaches, rhythmic approaches there are. And so you can, there's that line about like, no one listened to like Velvet Underground, but like everyone who did formed a band. Right. And everyone, and then from there, everyone there formed a band. So it's like when you're able to sort of see that lineage of all these different types of bands, then you can be like, okay, well, when I'm sitting down for this song, I think I'm going to approach it like Vampire Weekend, or I'm going to approach it like the Strokes. For better or for worse. Or I'm going to approach it, like Shiner or something, where there's more of like a heavy-handed approach to the rhythm section. Or I think that this one needs sort of a broader sort of guitar sort of spectrum. So like the chords we use here are going to be different than like power chords, maybe like on this verse. And the privilege of being of liking music, which we all do, and having that background is then you can sort of bring that into it. And it doesn't feel forced. Yeah. And I think that's the fun part too of like writing music with these guys too, is like you can kind of be like, well, I like that. There is that old U2 tune where, it's like they kind of did that little shimmy shimmy Cocoa Puff, and we could try that too.
It's the 10,000 hours.
Oh yeah.
And if you put 10,000 hours into something, you're going to have that to draw on. Yep. Whether it's playing or listening or just experiencing the music. Yeah.
And it's great, it's like you hear like lots of fun local bands. You're like, oh, I want to try that too. Woodshed.
Yeah.
Practice.
I am looking at the
time.
I'm looking at the time, and we kind of have a hard stop at 2.
Sure. Yeah.
And should we tell us where people can find you, and then let's play one of your songs then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Give them the deets.
Yeah, all the socials, Briefcase Music. You can find. We can give you our home addresses too.
Perfect.
Send us some snail
for
mail.
the studio.
Yeah, the garage.
Studio time.
What's the garage address?
It's like right across the way.
Yeah, he's right across. Yeah,
another quarter mile from here. It's super close.
Yeah, find us on Briefcase Music. We're out there.
All right.
Do you prefer what song we end out with?
Oh, hey, check out Strong. Check out the Strong video, the music video.
Yes.
Malik produced it. Just give it a watch.
Let's do Strong in the Way. I think that's what we have time for.
Okay.
Yeah,
we got like 2.5 minutes left, and that song conveniently is
fits perfectly.
Strong by Briefcase.
I love the video.
Oh, thanks.